So basically, I'm sort of giving this short talk about viruses and your immune system, because the news talks about what the virus is doing to us, but we really don't clearly understand what we can do to help ourselves other than the standard CDC recommendations, which is isolation, social distancing, quarantine, and hand washing and not touching your face. So I thought we would talk about that. There's a standard disclaimer as the first slide, and basically the information that I'm presenting to you guys is a sort of my opinion about viruses. I've had a lot of experience. I remember in the days of AIDS, when I was in San Francisco running the intensive care unit at UCSF, we basically ran out of ventilators. We ran out of intensive care beds. We were using the floors. And it sort of reminds me of that because I was running around in a full body isolation suit. And we came to understand that HIV was a lot less infective than the current pandemic. So next slide. Let's see, you can go to the third slide where viruses share similar experiences. This is sort of where I've been. I've been the co-author of a lot of papers having to do with HIV and hepatitis B and hepatitis C. So this is a typical virus. You see the COVID up there, and then the one next to it in blue is a rhinovirus, the common cold, and then the one where it's cut open is influenza A, and they all have characteristics that are similar. They have genetic material in the middle, a capsid, and an envelope that is made up of fat, and protein spikes that act like plugs looking for a receptor. And so on the target cell, like for instance, for hepatitis B or C, it's liver cells. For measles, for chickenpox, it's the dendritic cells of the skin. In Zika viruses, it's developing embryos, and respiratory tract for things like SARS and influenza. Next slide. So the way a virus works is that this particle attaches to the target cell. And so, like I said, it can be a liver cell, it can be skin cell, it can be the respiratory tract, your lungs. And once their attachment occurs, then the viral DNA or RNA is injected, and then that's when the virus, remember, viruses aren't living. So these genetic material takes over the cell and turns it into a viral factory. And then the factory produces viruses, which then bud off, and eventually the target cell dies. And in the case of HIV is a special case because the cells that are supposed to kill them are the cells that get infected. So T cells are the target of HIV, which is why it's in red. So next slide. So your body has to develop an immune system, and this immune system is largely based on, for viruses, T cells. T cells are the only kind of cells that actually kill infected target cells, that is, viruses that have infected the target cell. So you will have T cells that go against hepatitis, T cells that go against influenza, T cells that go against COVID. And it's the only way you get rid of viruses. So therefore, when the and what you see is a picture on the right in the blue is an actual T cell killing a virally infected cell, and the viral particles are in the cell next to it are those little darker spots. Those are viruses that are developing. So the next slide is an important study, which was published in November of 2019. That was only like 4 or 5 months ago. And what they did was they took two groups of identical rats and they fed them the standard American diet, which is about a 60% carb diet with 18% low-fat diet, versus a ketogenic diet, which was 90% fat and less than 1% carbs. and they were fed for 7 days and then given a lethal dose of H1N1, the virus that causes bad influenza and killed a bunch of people years ago. So the H1N1 virus, for those who remember, is very deadly. And over 6 or 7 days, all of the rats that were on a carbohydrate diet died, and 50% of the rats that got the virus and it was injected through their nose, sort of squirted in there. 50% of them on the ketogenic diet lived. So one has to wonder, what is it about ketogenic diet that is productive? And two, what is it about a carbohydrate diet, a diet high in sugar? And the Filipino community has a lot of diabetes, and we, of course, as an Asian myself, we eat a lot of carbs. Well, I don't, but you can have noodles and rice, etc. So what's really, really interesting is that this morning it was announced on national news that Italy has a death rate that is the fastest and steepest death rate of all the countries right now, even including China. And, you know, Italy, I spent the summer there, basically shows that they eat pasta all day long. They have rice, risotto, they have pizza, pasta. And I wonder if the sugar, there are more things to talk about, and I don't have enough time, but certainly we can think about whether that is important. Lastly, I think these are some resources, next slide, that you can look at. This is the CDC, the California Department of Public Health, the Public Health Department in Los Angeles. And I encourage you to wash your hands, self-isolate, keep at least 6 feet away, and consider whether your carbohydrates diet is really the best thing to be happening in this epidemic. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Wu, for that very valuable information, and we appreciate your support by sponsoring this event. So moving on to our, this is the exciting part of the program because we get to hear from everyone.
What happened to Lois? You good?
Okay, I think she was switching, probably. She was switching from the share screen. Hopefully she didn't click something, but I think she's back on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay,
Lois.
perfect.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, I was switching screen. Okay, so the next part of our program, we're a little behind, so we're just going to try to catch up. We're going to talk about the healthcare and home care industry. So before I do that, please I'd like to everyone know that everyone will be timed. We have a timer. So I'd like to call in Fatima to just give us a little instructions on how you're going to time people when they talk. So we try to keep this within an hour and a half because we have about 25 people on the call. Go ahead, Fatima. Fatima, can you hear me? Fatima?
I think she's not. Is she on the call?
She is on the call. All right. Anyways, I'll just give a little instruction on how she's going to do it. She's going to flash something like a flashcard. If she can go online, if you have 30 seconds left and you have 0 seconds left. And then also she'll do a chime if you have last 30 seconds and then when your time is up. So that's how we're going to manage the call. And please keep it between 60 seconds to the max 90 seconds if you have to. So let's be conscious of the time because we want to answer questions as well. So let's unmute Dr. Wu Lalaine Lau from the Bodyguard Corporation, and Miss Ellen Sampson.
Okay.
So,
So
and we're going to answer, we're going to answer these questions that we sent to you earlier. So make sure you focus on these questions that we sent earlier. Make sure you introduce yourself, your name, your business, what you do. How is your business affected by the COVID-19 crisis? What information and services would you like to share with the community? What offers do you have that you'd like to share with us, such as discounts and deals? And is there anything you are looking for or you need help with that the community can bring to you? So let's answer those questions in that 60 to 90 seconds.